we go, 100. Go on, get, boys. Fine gold. Is that 1 kilo? Yeah. I guess that pretty much settles it. 1 Pikmin is 1 gram. There we go. Collect all treasures. Hey, look at this. Look at that formation. And with that, my dear friends, we are done. 100% full platinum on Pikmin 4. It took 7 streams, 27 hours. Your investigation of the planet is complete. You'll go down in the Rescue Corps history as the best rescue officer ever, Narokath. Yeah, one of the best parts of the game is Olimar's shipwreck tale. Even if it is a giant spit in the face of Pikmin 1. Not really, I don't know, it depends on how you see it. Like, it could be a way to honor the first game, but for me it's a little bit weird. It's like, it's called Pikmin 4, but it's a new timeline, and they just shove Pikmin 1, 2, and 3 under the rug. You know, yeah, that probably happened, whatever. Hey, but look, Pikmin 4, doggo! Here's a doggo. You like dogs, don't you? That's what it feels like. Just tossing that timeline to the side and introduce dogs. It's like, it's so weird with me. You just wouldn't get it. Speaking of plushies, just make Pikmin plushies. I have a Pikmin plushie behind me. But yeah, most of these challenges were really fun. I very much enjoyed the first 3. They had a perfect balance of difficulty. I'm gonna try a new, like, basic scoring system. And I might do that at the end of every playthrough we do. So this is like a test fire. And so it means like 1 point out of 10 for each thing. So like gameplay. If we have a check here, it means that the gameplay is solid. Like it's good. Like it's not a masterpiece or anything, but the gameplay is positive. Just a positive review. And the plus is like the next step. Like it's really good gameplay. Addictive, whatever. Like it's beyond positive or good. And so you get 2 points for that. But one thing I'm not so sure about is legacy. Because, like, what if it's a standalone game? You can't really compare it to anything. And do you really give points for that? I don't know. This is all, you know, very loose. Nothing here is, like, perfect. I'm just gonna try it out and see how it feels. But yeah, for Pikmin 4, obviously looking at it as a sequel, because it's called Pikmin 4. So I'm not judging it on its own. I think, actually, the gameplay gets a point. The gameplay is good. It is fun. It almost, very close, actually gets like super positive. But it's a little bit too janky. And they took away some things from the previous games that I mentioned before. You know, like the C-stick in 1 and 2, you can control them. I don't know if you use that fancy, but that was super useful for me. And like the dodge roll mechanic from Pikmin 3, they just threw that out of the window. And everything revolves around the dog. And sure, you have a bunch of different options and different items, and you can map it to your D-pad, but it never felt fluid for me. So in terms of gameplay, I'd rather play the other games, especially Pikmin 3. Oh, that was so freaking good. But yeah, I think it deserves at least 1 point for gameplay. The music is not memorable at all. We have spent upwards of like 28 hours in the game, and nothing has really stuck to me that is something new. We have some old themes from the old games, we have some jingles, we have some of the music boxes that we pick up, and they play tunes like Song of Storms from Zelda. One of them played the Piranha Plant Lullaby from Mario 64. But I don't really count that. I count like the new music. For the most part, it was very bland in the background. It didn't assert itself. It felt a little bit uninspired. I can't really see myself listening to this game's soundtrack that much. So I don't know if I even get it 1 point. There were a couple of good tracks. I liked Serene Shores, both in, you know, main story and Olimar's playthrough. Some of the dungeon themes were kind of groovy or upbeat. And of course, the final boss, the huge dog thingy, that rock and roll track. That was pretty fucking cool, and how it was progressive over the course of the battle. So I'm not sure. Maybe it does get 1 point. But I'm being very generous. Like, I reluctantly give it a point for the music. I'll be nice. Sound, like sound effects, voices, everything that isn't music that you can hear. 2 points. I think the game does a very solid job. with all of the sound effects, all of the different footstep sounds in different terrains, when the Pikmin hit different objects, and, you know, everything from ice walls to digging up dirt. There's like unique sound effects for everything, and I like it. And I like the ambient tracks. I can't praise it more than that. It's so good. Story gets, I'm sorry, nothing. Not only is it a retelling or reimagining, which I personally don't like. I tried to follow the story in the first 2 streams. I read every single dialogue, and it was just so boring, and I just can't. I'm sorry. It just fell completely flat, and all of the characters just talk non-stop, and they backseat non-stop, and it's just so boring. I don't like a single character in this game. I only like my own character, who is like, you know, the silent protagonist that you make yourself. And I made her look like she doesn't even want to be here. I just, no. The story gets nothing. Dingo! No. And their voices were kind of annoying. That's a long-ass loading screen. You can kind of include that in the gameplay rating. Like, there are a lot of cases where it just loads a little bit too long. And that's once again, you know, the Switch being underpowered. We live in an age where everything should be on SSD speed. Visually, it's a little bit disappointing that this game came out 10 years after Pikmin 3 and it still uses the same engine, I believe. But it has like the same quality in its visual design. Some of the areas do look nice, but I expect more from a game that comes out 10 years after Pikmin 3. I expected way more than this. But the Switch is very underpowered. I don't know what to do here. I mean, so many assets are copy and pasted. There are good parts about it. But I don't know, dude, if it does get a point. Maybe. This is the same as music here. Like, I reluctantly give it 1 point for visual and music. It's extremely close. I want to be nice, because it still is Pikmin. And that's about it. Because the last 2, Legacy, I don't think it holds up. I think it's a disservice to the ones. It was a trilogy, you know, before this game. Not only the timeline getting thrown out the window and everything being a reimagining, but just taking away gameplay things, taking away how many Pikmins you can have out at the same time, limiting it to, what is it, 20 first, and then upping it to 30, 40. It's, as I've said many times, this game is way too easy. All due to the dog. Ochi and Moss makes everything way too easy with the, you know, the rush down attack, and you combine that with Ultra Spicy Spray, which is very easy to farm. I had like 50 or 40, and I never went below 20. I could use it for every single fight. All of the bigger enemies / bosses, they just die before they have any chance to do anything. So yeah, not only it being too easy because of these broken mechanics, we also have all of these copy and pasted enemies and bosses from the previous games. And they are now, you know, like a joke. Whereas, you know, the final boss of Pikmin 1 was kind of scary and, you know, you had to respect it. And it took some time to beat him in the first game. Here, just use Ochi, Rush Down, and Ultra Spicy Spray, and he's dead. And the gunning spider robot from Pikmin 2, same thing there. He dies so quickly. Yeah, of course. Glow Pikmins are so broken. So when we got to the final boss, the huge dog thing, where I think it's amazing how they implemented the different elements for each phase and the music changing depending on where you were. I love that. But the game has another broken mechanic, which is, you know, upgrades from the raw material. You get elemental immunity, not only for yourself, but also for Ochi. So none of you take any damage. And then because you're underground in that battle, you have glow Pikmins, which are also immune to every single element. So nothing hurt me in that final boss. I was just running around inside the electricity, the fire, whatever. Like, nothing hurt me except for the final phase when he spawns these like purple pools, I believe. Like on the ground, like circles. And if you touch that, you die. So it doesn't matter if you have immunity to anything. But yeah, most of the phases were like, okay, I don't need to dodge anything here. I don't need to take care of the fire or the electricity. It's just, everyone is immune to everything. And that could have easily been, fixed by either nerfing the glow Pikmins or by having the fight take place outside where you can't use them. I still haven't tried the co-op, but I've heard it's pretty bad. Now, you can definitely do self-imposed challenges with this game. There is that opportunity. You can decide to play without the dog, or at least just leave him at the base and only use him when you absolutely need to. So you could play most of the game without Ochi. You could also decide to play without Rewind, without Ultra Spicy Spray. Like, by not using these broken mechanics, you can make the game more challenging, which is, it's good. They don't force these overpowered things on you, but they're there. And of course, all of the upgrades. The upgrades for Ochi and the upgrades for you. You can also decide to skip out on that. So at some point in the future, when I do decide to replay this game, I think I'm gonna do one of those, self-imposed hard modes. I'm quite disappointed that the game did not include spicy mode, like Pikmin 3 did, aka hard mode, once you beat the game. I think it could have benefited greatly from that. If we look at these boxes, the game only gets 5 points. It's a 5 out of 10. Man, that hurts. It really hurts. It's very close to get, 1 extra point in the gameplay, but it's everything I mentioned now. It's not good enough to get that. I don't know if I'm too harsh or anything. Maybe I was expecting too much. But I had fun with this game. That's why it's 5 out of 10, Half of me love it, but the other half of me hate it. And I know. If I had like a little sibling, or I knew someone who was like 7 years old, I think this game would be perfect for them. Because it's easily accessible, it's not too difficult, and it's not too punishing like the other games were. I think it's a great game, and you can have a great time with it if you are an inexperienced gamer. And I think that was the target audience. But for someone like me, who grew up with this beautiful beast, the first game, and the second, and then the third, I am disappointed in that regard. And also the game's full price. What is it? $70? So I definitely don't regret buying the game or playing it. I wouldn't have gotten through 100% if I didn't. I did enjoy that. The best part was the, very end of the challenge. All of those Sage levels, the Dondori 5 difficulty, all of that was really good. But that only accounted for how much? 12% of the game? Just estimate, 12% of the game was challenging, everything else was just steamrolling. Maybe I wasn't the right target audience for this. Maybe that's why it's reimagining, retelling. Like, it doesn't exist in your Pikmin world. You can go back to Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. That timeline is still there. This is the new timeline for the kiddies. I think I know what you mean, Spoofy. This game does talk down to them quite a bit, especially with the backseating. Like, do you see that soft belly part of the monster? Now is your chance to attack it. That to me is talking down to your audience. Like, do you really think I'm that stupid? Did you see the monster flipped over? Yes, thank you. I saw that. There's too much of that. Way too much of the game talking down to you. I guess another thing is that in Pikmin 1, 2, and 3, you were never ever allowed to play during the night. And so you always had that sense of, wow, what happened? I mean, what happens during the night? I mean, we get a glimpse of it when we fly away, that enemies, attack the base. Like, there is so much potential here for a sequel to delve into something that we have only been able to think about. Now we finally can. We can explore during the night. And while I think it is a pretty fun game mode, playing with the glow Pikmins and defending your base, and you can kind of risk and reward, go far away and collect more of those gems or whatever they are, and then go back and balance that with defending your base and the different piles, whatever they were called. It's not a complete shit show, this mode right here. But once again, I was expecting way more. I was expecting something along the lines of Final Fantasy 15. That also had like, you can go out during the night, but everything is so much more dangerous. All of the enemies you find, super powerful, have red glowing eyes and whatnot. But if you manage to defeat them, you get rewarded. I remember the first time I played Final Fantasy 15, I went out during the night and I found a little cactuar enemy. And I defeated him, and I got so much EXP, but I barely made it. And then I went back to the base and, you know, slept until morning. And that felt so good. Like, I got rewarded for that difficulty. And I hoped that this game would do something similar. But no, it's like its own game mode. Yeah, it's good that all of the 4 Pikmin games are now available on the Switch. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm not gonna be too nitpicky, but I think they could have done that way better as well. If you look at Skyward Sword HD, which is like a GameCube/Wii game in terms of assets, graphics, and whatnot, they made the game run at 60 FPS 1080p, while having some quality of life upgrades. That's what I was expecting for Pikmin 1 and 2 re-release on Switch, but no, it's pretty bare bones. They didn't really touch 99% of the textures. They're exactly the same from the GameCube games. And the game is still running at 30 FPS. And there's no excuse. Because you can make the games run at 60 on emulator. And the Switch is powerful enough to run Pikmin 1 and 2 at 60. Huge missed opportunity right there. And for that reason, I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get Pikmin 1 and 2 physical when it comes out. I have my games behind me, physical. I have the first one right here. So, I mean, this one is already great the way it is. And they don't offer anything new. No real quality of life upgrades. No Wiimote pointing like we can in the Wii version of these games. So there's no reason for me to get 1 and 2 HD. I'd rather play them on Dolphin using crowd control. So the viewers can affect the game. And we can play it at 60. I like this title screen. It's kind of nice. Olimar Story has a bit of the classic feel. It did. The best part about playing Olimar Story was that you didn't have the backseaters talking to you all the time. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up this game. Pikmin means a lot to me. And it has, ever since the first game came out. I'm happy I played through this game. There are parts of it that I really like, but I'm also very disappointed. This game is selling very well compared to the other games. So hopefully Pikmin will continue. I want to thank everybody so very much for joining me through this Pikmin 4 playthrough. It lasted way longer than I expected it to. I'll be back soon, my friends.